Welcome to the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Welcome to ITSPmagazine. You're listening to a new Redefining Security podcast. Have you ever thought that we are selling cybersecurity insincerely, buying it indiscriminately, and deploying it ineffectively? Perhaps we are. So let's look at how we can organize a successful InfoSec program that integrates people, process, technology, and culture to drive growth and protect business value. Knowledge is power, now more than ever. HITRUST is a leading data protection standards development and certification organization that strives to safeguard sensitive information and manage information risk for global organizations across all industries and throughout the third-party supply chain. Learn more at hightrustalliance.net. Archer empowers organizations to manage multiple dimensions of risk on one platform with on-premises and software-as-a-service offerings, and quickly implement industry-standard processes and best practices for advanced risk management maturity, informed decision-making, and enhanced business performance. Learn more at archerirm.com.
All right, here we are. This is Sean Martin, Editor-in-Chief for ITSPmagazine, and you're listening to a new Redefining Security podcast. And today we're going to be looking at cloud transformation and the role that security has within that cloud transformation to hopefully help the company do more things more effectively, more efficiently, but also more securely. And I'm thrilled to have a guest with us today, Helen Oakley. Helen, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean. It's a wonderful day.
Yes, it is a wonderful day. Any day breathing is good. And you come to us through an introduction via the Sector conference in Canada, and you're actually presenting on this topic. So we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of what cloud transformation is. But first, I want to hear a few words about who is Helen and what are you up to?
So I work for SAP as Senior Product Security Architect, and my responsibility is to develop application product standards on security, frameworks, provide consulting. Also, I input into cross-product architecture at SAP. Additionally, outside of my work, I do different speaking engagements, and I'm a co-founder of Leading Cyber Ladies Group, which is a professional network for women in cybersecurity. So you can find me on LinkedIn, and you'll see a lot of content on that aspect.
That's fantastic, and we'll actually ask you to provide a link to the organization as well, so people interested in that they can connect there and learn more about that. So, cloud transformation, Helen. I don't know. I suspect it conjures up many different things for different people depending on who they are, the role they have in the company, the type of company they're in, perhaps even maybe the location they're in, geolocation they're in around the world. Maybe if you could take a couple minutes and just shed some light on what are some of the common, more traditional cloud transformations you see, have come across, and I don't know if there's one that stands out that really demonstrates an organization pushing the envelope for a cloud transformation. That'd be great.
The most vivid example is during the pandemic when everybody started moving to remote work, and many companies start moving to cloud to support their remote work, right? But cloud transformation comes at many levels across organization. And like you said, Sean, it really depends on your role in organization, and everyone is affected. And from security point of view, it's from compliance to application to development. And another example of transformation is when we had from on-premise world, we initiated a DevOps to the cloud, right? So I think that was maybe 10 years ago, one of the bigger transformation that we had in the past. And now we're transforming completely to cloud or hybrid cloud, and security plays a very big role in it.
And I'm wondering, can you shed some light on who within the organization is leading the transformation? I always have it in my mind that it's the line of business owner saying we need to do this thing better, faster, cheaper, or is it IT? And I don't know, how often is it security, if at all?
Unfortunately, security is not on the top of everybody's mind, but we have to, that's what we try to raise the awareness that it actually has to be. In transformation, there are multiple stakeholders to this. Yes, business owners moving to cloud and the speed and agility and speed to market, right? All those aspects are driven by business owners. However, by putting only attention to that, we are dismissing all the security threats, all the security attacks that could be done on the cloud. So it's very important that business owners work together with IT and with security to define that transformation plan and really drive that as part of their business objectives. I always say, put your security as your business objectives, and then you will see the change.
And how does that happen? How does security insert themselves into that process, or perhaps even get invited to be part of the party?
It does. So first of all, it does start with the executive level when we adding security as part of business goals, right? But it has to be propagated in all levels of organization. When we're talking about security organization and overall, so like trainings, educational awareness, right? We have different what we call security culture, right? That we have to establish in our organization. The security champions as well, different programs. Right now, there's a lot of content to help really organizations to develop that kind of programs and so on. But then it goes at other levels as well, such as application, system, infrastructure, and that's when it comes more technical owners of IT, security, engineering, and so on together, and have this committee of driving the security and propagate it at each level. So we have executive pushing goals from top to bottom, right? And make sure that all organizations across the company, across the organization or mini teams actually consuming those goals and interpreting them in their backlog, in their goals, right? How they develop. And also we have the layer of people on the ground as security champions who have to continuously evangelize or continuously talk about security and think about this all the time. And they not necessarily have to be a security expert. They're just people who really care about security and question and remind everybody else about the importance of this topic.
So you working with frameworks and architectures, describe to me how frameworks and architectures play a role. To me, that seems to be where a lot of the commonalities in language come together, or the differences actually get brought together to find to meet that common goal. Language between IT, language between security, language between the line of business. I presume that's in the framework and architecture place, and then it trickles down from there. Can you describe how you look at that and how the work you do kind of pulls that all together?
Yeah, so during my talk, actually, if people will join, I have this great slide that outlines it very nicely, but I'll try to represent it verbally. So
you get to paint a story verbally, paint a picture verbally.
So in enterprise security transformation, we have to look at different stages, right? We cannot do everything at once. And like you said, we need to normalize the language across different stakeholders. So we start with the baseline. And this baseline, if you think about the matrix, the baseline, then comes after that disruption. Then we have other stages up to optimization, right? And then each stage also is separated into sub-stages as a matrix like focus, right? Execution, people, process, and technology. And let's say in the focus, we have for a baseline, we have minimal of requirements. We maybe have some understanding, but generally there is lack of analysis of overall organization, right? So we don't have exact focus. And like I said, it starts with putting your business goals, security in your business goals. And it shifts throughout to disruption when we have major projects kicked off. For example, executives say that, okay, we didn't have any focus before. Now let's put focus on securing our infrastructure, right? Now let's put focus on doing more research on this aspect. What do we have to do? Where do we have to improve? And then projects initiated, right? So we're now disrupting the whole company with changing the focus or including the security focus. And then we go into sustainability when we have executed several projects, and then we have maybe more kicked off for improvement, right? And then into optimization goal when we have like focus on automating those processes and so on. And then when we go level down into people, organization, execution of it, and technology systems and so on, we also have this line of from the baseline when people don't have any training, we don't have any experts to start training people, disrupting the organization, creating those experts, creating those round tables and communities who drive those requirements and really looking through execution, right? Of that, and etc. And on technology side, we also look through different stages of this transformation, how we enable different teams. We do the assessments, we do the analysis, then we implement those requirements. We maybe implement certain tools, solutions into our systems, and then we go through optimization. But it all starts with the focus. I think it's very important that we need to make sure that we include security as part of our focus across all functions at organization.
And every time you use the word disruption, that triggers a little twitch in my head because that equates to chaos to me, but it doesn't have to be. And I think you're describing a model here that helps an organization kind of get their head and their hands wrapped around this. How do you advise organizations to push the envelope to truly disrupt? Because that's innovation, that is transformation, really pushing that envelope. How do you get them to do that in a controlled chaos manner? Yeah.
Controlled chaos is the right word, right? And this journey, I mean, like we say, it's not a destination, it's a journey. Even during your optimization phase, you are still in the journey, continuously improving it. But how to go through disruption, and we also went through that. It's a hassle, and actually you learn along the way. You do mistakes, you accept that you did a mistake, and you analyze that and you improve. And every organization will work through different paths slightly, but I think what's important is collaboration, among different stakeholders. So they have to work together. When they have goals from the top management that provided, now you have features, you cannot have product out there in the cloud without security enabled in it. They have to think about it, right? Yes, it's disrupting, and maybe in the beginning it will be a little bit chaotic, but it will establish overall, and collaboration is a key here. And of course, the technical aspect of it is important. I really put attention on as security is a quality issue, right? So they have to change the mindset that it's not only quality as we used to think of functionality, right? Your application works, but actually security is a quality. So would any customer right now say that, yeah, it's good enough, maybe it's not important, right? We will never hear that. So it's really, we have to put that focus. And Another important aspect that I'm bringing up is integration. We often overlook that integration has a lot of gaps in security, especially when we have multi-customized cloud systems, when we have to be on top of customizations and different communication protocols and everything. So we have to put effort into integration, how our systems integrate, and are they integrating in a secure manner? And that has to come with the design and architecture of our systems.
And do you find an existing team that's in place has everything they need to do this transformation successfully? Or what are the areas perhaps that they either need to study and learn, either maybe even hire additional staff who have a better understanding of how the cloud works versus an on-prem environment?
I cannot judge for every company out there where they have gaps, right? But in general, development doesn't have, so DevOps and development doesn't have enough resources or time because they put effort into the features. And that's understandable. That's what the business, right? But it's part of management responsibility that they have to understand that without security, those features are not going to be successful, and they have to include it. So I think the gap comes around development and management within development to make sure that they do put enough focus. And as an example, at SAP, we have a lot of processes that we have enhanced in the past several years that really guides team through the process. Okay, if you, for example, cannot provide the security functionality, well, you have to go through the board approval, right? And board will not approve this. So you really need to work really hard and have, I don't know even what reasons, but we, through the process, we guide them and we talk to them and say, it's for you, it's more important right now to even perhaps maybe have less feature ship, but make sure whatever you ship is secure.
And I'm wondering, do you see value in maintaining best practices for security on the on-prem existing environment, moving to the cloud? And I'm wondering if you see companies kind of abandon some of those best practices or traditions, if you will, simply because it's a new environment and they're just trying to learn that.
Well, best practices is difficult. You need to have a dedicated team in your organization to make sure that they're on top of best practices. I work as part of global security team at SAP, and all we do is we do research, we improve, we enable other teams and can help them to adopt these new practices. We have monthly, quarterly updates and rollouts, and the whole engine of these best practices cannot sustain on its own. So somebody has to continuously drive it and do the research. If a company only relies on development expert who needs to develop features, audit code, and also go out there and research best practices, well, it's not going to happen. They may be going to do it once, and then they're going to leave it, and it's going to be outdated 6 months later. So it's very important to have a dedicated researchers who will continuously improve those best practices based on the industry standards, regulations, audit feedback, and technological innovations.
I suspect I like to put things in buckets. You have the CIA, you have the protect, detect, monitor, respond, all these different things you can look at. You have the data, you have the systems, you have the networks, you have the communications, all these different lines you can draw around things, and that mesh is really where it comes together. And I'm wondering if you touch on anything there, or if there's anything in the presentation you're doing at Sector that kind of speaks to that big ball of wire or yarn where this all comes together in a secure application and service in the cloud.
Yes, I do definitely outline end-to-end best practices that we follow at SAP and that we recommend also to follow. And I recommend some references for the articles that go deeply into different aspects. However, my whole presentation focuses around application security in the cloud application as cloud application provider. So if an organization develops and provides that cloud product, then there are a lot of interesting content, useful content that they can adapt and try to improve. And I provide examples how we the evolution of our, let's say, product standard security and our process and integration that could be very substantial tips for the audience to consume and research furthermore and implement in their organizations as well. But there is also an overall bucket as transformation and tips where to look for different areas in your journey, different stages of your journey, let's put it this way, as well as end-to-end organization slice breakdown from the organizational people to system infrastructure.
Nicely done. And as we wrap here, one of the things I wanted to touch on, and I want to balance it with the tips you're going to give in your presentation with things that perhaps the listeners now get information they've heard from you today, they can take with them. Maybe a few key things they can think about as they explore the possibility of a cloud transformation.
So I like to put in perspective not only the technical aspects, but overall organization. I think it, like I said, it starts with the focus, and the change really starts with the people. So you need to, in your organization, implement security culture, develop that security culture, right? Through your champions, through your focus trainings, and so on. And I provide several tips how to do that in my presentation. Another important point, and I keep repeating that, put security as part of your business goals, business objectives, right? Security is a quality issue, and we need to think differently. We need to change our mindset and really include it as part of our regular backlog. So we develop feature. It's not that security is somewhere an afterthought after the pen test that done maybe once a year or once 6 months, but you really implement that as part of your backlog development. You analyze that update, you analyze that change and see how this can be done. And there are many techniques how it can be done through threat modeling and etc. and design analysis. And also the integration, right? Think about that as well. So we overlook this aspect, and I would like to bring the attention that now that we have so many different systems, so many customizations, put your thought a little bit beyond and think how they integrate securely and how we provide that usable security functionality to the customers.
That's great, Helen. And I guess my takeaway from all this is if you're looking for the benefits of moving to the cloud, you need to recognize that some of those benefits also need to be applied with security in mind. So things are going to move faster. They're going to be more readily available. They're going to be more exposed. You understand and embrace the security and risk aspects of it as you're moving all that stuff over. So Helen, I want to thank you for taking the time today to chat with us, give us some insight into what cloud transformation looks like, controlled chaos, as you say. And hopefully everybody gets a chance to catch your session at Sector. And for those listening, we'll put links to that as well as to the organization that Helen mentioned up front. And again, Helen, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean, and thanks everybody.
Archer empowers organizations to manage multiple dimensions of risk on one platform with on-premises and software-as-a-service offerings, and quickly implement industry-standard processes and best practices for advanced risk management maturity, informed decision-making, and enhanced business performance. Learn more at archerirm.com. HITRUST is a leading data protection standards development and certification organization that strives to safeguard sensitive information and manage information risk for global organizations across all industries and throughout the third-party supply chain. Learn more at hightrustalliance.net. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Redefining Security podcast. If you learned something new and this podcast made you think, then share ITSPmagazine.com with your friends, family, and colleagues. If you represent a company and wish to associate your brand with our conversations, sponsor one or more of our podcast channels. We hope you will come back for more stories and follow us on our journey. You can always find us at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society.